Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you out there, see how all of you are doing. I hope you were able to get out in nature somewhere, and I know in my area it's kind of been iffy all week, showing like possible, showers and stuff like that. So, I gotta say, I'm one of those types that, I don't want to even hear about what the weather says at that moment, because that's when you like, hey, I'm just going to stay inside because it's going to rain, and then you stay inside and then it doesn't do anything. So I did. I was able to get out in my area, even though, it said it was going to rain at 11. It didn't rain at 11, or possible chances that it was going to rain at 11. But, so that's why, you need to just bring an umbrella, make sure you're covered, that, or, like a rain jacket or whatever you wear. And, you know, just because it says that, like 34% chance of showers, or, it could even, like, it could be 80% chance that it might rain. And then you'd be like, oh, it says 80%. And then it always can change. It could say at, like at 2 o'clock, 80% chance of rain. And then by the time 2 o'clock gets there, then it went down to like maybe 34% chance of rain or something. I don't know how this whole thing works with the weather, but really, I'm not a fan of wearing raincoats, because like in the temperature, like it kind of gets warm wearing one. So bring an umbrella, or hey, enjoy the shower when you have a cold shower. So anyway, I do love all of you. And anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, you can find me, and that is at Starlight, and that's Kathy with a K, Dingman. Plus, if you want to see a change in the world, you can help me out with that by liking the video, by liking my videos. And there might be videos, I'm sure that you might watch, and, it might be something that you already knew. So even if you already know the information that I'm putting out, somebody else could use it. Not everybody knows all of these videos or about all these videos, but some of you might, So anyway, thank you anyway for watching. And like I said, if you want to help me be the change in the world, you can help me by spreading these videos out, and not only liking them, you can share it with a friend or a family. Oopsie. And you can ring that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video. And also you can leave a message down below. Say hello. You can say something, let me know what you think, or, on different videos, maybe not this video, maybe a different video. Or you could follow me on Instagram, and that's at 1995 Starlight. 1995 Starlight on Instagram, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I mentioned this a while back, and I was telling you I made my spiritual awakening, my first spiritual awakening, and if you don't know what that is, you're going to want to check it out. And it's like, I don't know, maybe 5 videos to that, So there's a lot of information in there, and it doesn't mean that I'm crazy or nuts or off my rocker. It just means that I'm waking up to the real reality of what this reality here really is. And a lot of you, I have to say, if you've had an easy life, you might think everything is all normal. It seems to really hit people that has had a very hard time on this planet, or their life could have been like hell, like mine has been. And, a lot of times those are the people that could have a spiritual awakening and not even be aware that they had one, So anyway, I am going to make the video on, I can't really tell you what the date is when this happened, so I don't know if this is my second spiritual awakening or my third. So I went to the police station yesterday, because they did pick me up on a spiritual awakening where I live right now. So I've been here since 2000. 17 all the way till now, and so it happened in this apartment. So I did go to the police station, and they didn't have, they didn't do their work. They did not fill out the form, their police records of picking me up. So I could not find out what the date was when they did, but I remember it was in the wintertime when this happened. And so here we go. I'm going to tell you my either second or third, because I do know what the other one is, and that I'm not sure which order. Either that's a second or third, or this one's a second or third. But right now, it's not going to really matter. I should have the date for the third one. That that was a trip, and then I have a couple other ones of spiritual awakenings after that one. So I do want to kind of get this one done today, and then I'm going to find the date. I'm going to have to go find the date out on my calendar somewhere. I have this written down somewhere in my apartment, so I have to find out when my other one was, which I know it was in 2018. So I do have sticky notes and different writings and notebooks and stuff of when all these things happened. So anyway, this shouldn't be long, because this was a quick a spiritual awakening, and this was not, I didn't get hurt, I didn't do anything wrong, and the police department might not even be aware of what goes on, when they have certain calls, like when, Starlight might call them up, this, the first time I didn't call the cops up. If you watch my first spiritual awakening, my daughter did, and you might have seen something out in public with a person, running around doing some crazy stuff. And a lot of times the cops are going to think, oh, wonder what kind of drug they are on, and that might not even be the case. So when a spiritual awakening, you don't have to be on any drug when that happens. So I've actually had spiritual awakenings when I wasn't high, even on marijuana. So anyway, I do have a couple of videos out there on drugs, that, things can happen. And especially if you've had a really horrible background, in childhood, through teen years, throughout your whole life, things can trigger you to go into a spiritual awakening. So even, I don't know about other drugs, that could possibly trigger you to have a spiritual awakening or something. So anyway, I'm not quite sure 100% how I'm going to title this, but you already know how it's titled because you clicked on the video. So anyway, I really don't have the information of when this happened. I could research that more, and maybe I can put a message under the video. I would have to go through an awful lot of calendars because I wrote, anytime I've been in the hospital, I wrote it down because I ended up having, I had my cleaning business at the time when I went through these spiritual awakenings. So then I wasn't able to go to work, when I had this, going on. And I don't know how long they put me in the hospital when I had this one here, but this was a quick spiritual awakening. So if you've never, maybe you've had something that happened to you in the past and you're like, what the heck was that all about? Maybe you've had a spiritual awakening. So anyway, either my second or third spiritual awakening, I believe it was my second, but it could have been the third, because I did have one in 2018. So it could have been after that. So anyway, whatever date that was, is I was in this apartment and I was in my bedroom, during this time, and I did make videos about marijuana, that this can happen to you. If you, I love having spiritual awakenings. I was, you're not quite aware of it at the time, and sometimes you might be a little aware of it, or you could be really aware of what's going on, so anyway, when I had my this one here, the one that I'm talking about, I want to call it my 5D spiritual awakening, and you might not know what 5D is, which 5D is the fifth dimension. So it would be a spiritual awakening where I entered into the fifth dimension. Whee! And they do say that with marijuana, you can, like go to other dimensions. And I did. I went to the love frequency. So around that time, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of a person that I do watch his videos. And, I didn't think I would ever be able to survive in the third dimension, you know. So I really wanted to get off this planet so bad. I didn't know how I was going to make it to day a long time ago, around this time. So anywhere, between 2017 or like this was after 2018, somewhere around these times, these dates, where I was really, having a hard time making it from day to day and wondering how in the world am I ever going to make it? Here I am at a certain age already at that time, so many years ago. And I'm like, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos from 2017 all the way to now, so I did get a lot of help and, like to get me to where I am. To even start a YouTube channel, So anyway, and I am not suffering like I was before with depression and wanting to end my life. So that all ended, like I am no longer depressed about my past, So that's why I decided to really make YouTube videos is to help other people that could be struggling, in their life, and maybe they've had a spiritual awakening or maybe they are depressed or whatever. So anyway, around that time, I was in my room, and I was smoking pot. That's it. No other drug, only marijuana. And, well, I was actually watching a YouTube video, and it was about the fifth dimension and that you could actually go to the fifth dimension and how to, like how you can get to the 5D, the fifth dimension, So I was learning a lot about that, like in letting go of fear. You had to let go of fear in order to get to the 5D. And so I was working on a lot of stuff mentally, psychologically in my mind and my thoughts. It was a everyday battle, really, just to make it from one day to the next through those times. And so anyway, I had a habit of every day, I'd wake up and I love wake and bake. If you don't know what that means to, wake up in the morning and, like to, I loved lighting candles and, well, not candles all the time, but incense, because my landlord lives here. So my landlord lives downstairs, so I never wanted him to know that, Starlight smokes marijuana. I don't anymore. I did give that up. So anyway, here I was in my bedroom in the morning. It might have been a weekend, but it was, we just had it was snowing like crazy outside. We got a lot of snow this year, so tons of snow, the police officers were quite busy that day. And so anyway, I was watching YouTube videos about the fifth dimension, like I said, for a while, and learning about the 5D. And, I knew about other dimensions. I just, and there's times I felt like I was in other dimensions, that I didn't feel quite like I was really here. I felt like I was in two places at once, so I don't know if you've ever felt like that, where you just don't really feel like you're really here. And so anyway, as I was learning about the 5D, is one morning I might have just got done watching, a 5D video, like how to get there. And, then I lit some incense in my bedroom. I might have had music on because I did love listening to music when I got stoned, where that video, like I might have been watching a video during getting stoned at that time, where it triggered me, psychologically somehow or another to have a spiritual awakening where I entered into the 5D in my bedroom. And, it was so funny. I was so filled with so much love, You know, it would have been a real trip if I was outside of my apartment, but of course with the snow out there, I don't think I would want to, you know, I wouldn't want to drive in that state of mind. So anyway, I was definitely in the 5D. You know, I entered into, because it really triggered me by watching so many. You know, I was like hungry for this stuff. You know, it was a certain time that this ship was going on with the Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, where Mother Earth, you know, this is crazy when I tell you this stuff, where Mother Earth couldn't, just like me and so many other people couldn't handle living in the 3D because it's a fair frequency. I couldn't handle living in this low frequency, being afraid all the time. And Mother Earth couldn't handle it either, where she was shifting up to a higher frequency, going through the fourth. She went through so much suffering on planet Earth, all the things that they do to her, that she had to rise up to a higher frequency to get up to the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. So you might think this is crazy. You ought to research it yourself about, the fifth dimension. You know, what is the third dimension? What is the fourth dimension? What is the fifth? And then it goes all the way up, and I'm not sure how many dimensions there are, you know. So it's like, just like I don't know, I might have to redo a video on this. I did before on Facebook. I did make a video. It was like, do you need an upgrade? So you really ought to check that video out, because this will make more sense when what I'm talking about now. So anyway, with like Mother Earth going in a higher frequency, it's just like your phone or your computer getting an upgrade, where, you can't stay in this low, like low frequency, like planet Earth, like being low and being so depressed all the time. And it's like Mother Earth was going through like a healing, and I was going through a healing. I was getting healed from my past, a lot of abuse going on or whatever, either with my family or relationships or whoever. And so I've been trying to get healed, like for years. So, so Mother Earth and planet Earth needed to get healed too. So as she was trying to cleanse herself and like to rise up to a higher frequency, to raise up to, the fourth dimension. And then the fourth is really kind of a switch between like the third, fourth, and then switch to the fifth, where you got 1 foot, kind of in the third, where you're not all the way to the fifth. So you got some fear, and then you got some love going on. So you're kind of balancing the both. And then the more you let go of the fear over here, the more you let go is the more you can enter into the fifth dimension over here. And the fourth is just kind of a mixture of both of them. It's almost like eating I used to do this to my kids to get them to eat their baby food, is that they didn't like the green beans or peas, or so I kind of tricked them, like eating I put the green beans all the way in the back of the spoon and put the fruit in the front, so then they kind of get the two different tastes, and they couldn't even tell, because they tasted, tastes like applesauce, and so the applesauce kind of overpowered the green beans. And that's kind of like when you get in that love frequency, the 5D, it's a higher frequency, and now, because you're healing from the old trauma, the abuse that you've been through, and you're reprogramming your way of thinking and letting go of the past, where now you're entering into a new dimension, a higher frequency. You got to rise up. In order to rise, you have to let go. You got to let go of all that stuff back there, to be able to get to that 5D. So anyway, I was getting stoned in my room, and I always counted when I would take hits. Either I would smoke out of a joint or a bowl, and where I would like count, like, okay, hold it, let it go. And then I would wait a little bit, and then and it takes like after you do that for like 3 or even 4 would have been really pushing it for me at that time because and I always had to have water with me like I do here. So when I got stoned, I would always drink my water because I have to say is I was kind of new with getting high at the time, so I was really I just I did smoke before that, but I was like only smoking a little bit of pot, you know. So this time when I moved here, I really started smoking more. You know, I wasn't smoking every day, and then after a while, I was smoking every day. So, you know, I would get really high. You know, if I smoked 4 hits, you know, either a bowl or out of a joint, then bam, you know, like, and if you are a person that gets stoned, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you're, you know, you were new at it at first. You know, if you over smoke, then the high, you know, then you might have to go to, you know, get pot that's even stronger, you know, because, you know, if you smoke like homegrown, you still can get high from it, but, you know, after a while it does kind of, you know, I need something more. And so anyway, that's why they say the danger of smoking pot. Some people, they smoke so much, that's why they end up going to a higher drug like crack or, you know, other things. Please do not do anything else more than, you know, pot. I would just stay to marijuana. You know, it's one of the safest, you know, out there to do. And not that it, you know, nothing's perfect out there. It's got its negatives, like I mentioned in my YouTube videos about marijuana and stuff like that. So there's a playlist of drugs, you know, either legal or illegal, things that I personally, nothing that I read in a book, absolutely not. Things that I learned all on my own, you know, like my own experience. So if you really want to know, I'm not going to lie to you about you know, it has good negatives and positives about it. So anyway, here I was in my apartment, and like I said, I might have took 3 or maybe that extra 4th hit, and boom, you know, Starlight. It takes like a few minutes. It could take like, you know, depending on every person, you know, and depending on the pot that you're smoking. If you got somebody hooked you up some really strong strand of marijuana, then really you might have only needed 2 hits, you know. But if it was stronger strand, you know, or like the stronger strand, you might only need 2. But if it was weaker and you took 4 hits, you know, it could hit you really hard, depending on how much you're smoking all the time, you know. So anyway, I changed. Where I was so happy. I was just like, and I don't even know how this happened, why I did this, but you know, I know my heart rate was going. So sometimes when you do smoke pot, some people actually will panic and will call 911 because they're scared they maybe took 1 too many hits. So I did have videos made on that. Like if you're new to smoking marijuana, what you want to do if you're new with it, you know, you definitely don't want to smoke a whole joint on your first time. You're going to be super high, you know, and your heart rate could really go, you know, and you're paranoid, you know, you can really get paranoid if you overdo it, you know, and you could get scared. You could get really hot, you know, if you smoke too much too quick, depending on your hits and if you're inhaling, you know, and depending on the strand. So anyway, I don't know why, but I ended up calling 911. You know, I have no clue why I did that, but I did. But anyway, so I don't even know what I said to the police officers. And you know, like I said, it was a snowstorm, so they came to my house, and I couldn't believe what happened is that I told them that I didn't think I was going to be able to go down the stairs. And it was so funny because I was super high, really. I was super high. And I was like, and you can't come in my apartment. You know, you can't come up where I am. I'm on the 2nd floor. So you can't just come right up and open up the door downstairs and just find your way up here. No, my landlord protects this place. So you have to actually have a key, or I would have to let you in, you know, to get in the downstairs door. And like I said, my landlord lives downstairs. So anyway, I told the officers, I don't know if you're going to be able to get in because you can't get in. You know, like I kind of was in a panic mode. And, you know, so I let them know that that door is always locked. and so anyway, it took like so many minutes because they only lived like 5 minutes, like maybe 10 minutes away, from my house. And like I said, it was a snowstorm, so they were busy, checking on and doing stuff, with the snowstorm. And, before I know it, I heard the pounding downstairs. And I don't know how I did this, but I had a white sheet. And I had it over my head, like a ghost, but I could see, and I wanted to, like, I felt like I was holy, that I was so pure and clean, because I was in a higher dimension. I was no longer, I was not in the third dimension, and I was just so filled with so much love. It was such a trip. So anyway, I heard the cops knocking on the door, and so I was so high I didn't think I never would leave my apartment if I was stoned. That was a rule, never, never to go outside being high. I was really not smoking a lot at that time, so I kind of got, like I wasn't even smoking outside out in the parks, and it wasn't even legal at this time. So I was really good about just staying high in my apartment. And anyway, I decided to be brave somehow or another, I wrapped myself with that white sheet. It's kind of funny that I did that. And I went down, and I've seen other people in the hospitals before do the same thing. They might have been going through spiritual awakening themselves, where you do kind of funky stuff. You don't even know why you're doing it, but you just do it. And so I went downstairs without falling, with this sheet. And here I am wrapped up with this white blanket on my head. Like, I didn't, for some reason, I wanted my head covered. It was something about, and white was definitely, white is purity, So, and I believe that's what my name is, pure. So anyway, there was 3 officers that were downstairs. And so I was down there, and I told them, I'm like, oh, and I wanted to help them. I wanted to save them. And that might have been what triggered me to call them up, is because I love the police officers so much. Like, it's so important that we reach the officers, and, I don't want them getting chipped and, going through the things that are going to happen in the future. Who knows how it's going to happen, with the not having money anymore. And when that goes in play, how are we going to pay for all of our stuff, so there's going to be stuff going on in the future. I'm not 100% how. They always talked about the RFID chip, either right here, right here, like a grain of rice, or like in your forehead. That's what the Bible says. Where if you don't have that, you won't be able to get food or anything like that in the store. It won't be able to, and it's a tracking device. However they're going to do it, it's going to be a tracking device. It's supposed to have all your identification in there, and your bank account, your doctor records, and all your stuff all in one thing, So anyway, I don't want to lose the officers, to something like that, or anybody really. So anyway, as they were downstairs, and I'm like, I wanted to save them and let them know that, like I wanted them into the 5th dimension. I already was. I'm like, I was in such a love frequency, and I did have one of the officers that, you do get this with different kinds of people where, you get this one that's going to be the controller, the dominant, the most, he might have been working on the police force longer than the other 2, and I swear I could read minds, really, when you're heightened like that, when you are going through a spiritual awakening. It is possible that you really know the thoughts of other people when you're heightened. Here you're down here, and then when you go through a spiritual awakening, you're like, ching, you're up here. You are right up here. And, and it is possible that I am correct on this, because I did experience stuff in my other spiritual awakenings where you know stuff without understanding, how did I know that? And you're right on target with stuff, when you go through a spiritual awakening, at times. And so anyway, I was trying to tell him, I'm like, oh my, we are shifting into the 5th dimension. And it was so funny because they didn't know what I said the 5D. I'm like, oh my, we're shifting to the 5D. And they didn't know what the 5D is, and I'm like, oh, well, that's the fifth dimension. But I was such in a love state. It was like I really wanted to save the officers, and there's three guys, so the one that stood in the middle, and and here my neighbor is upstairs, a neighbor that used to live up here, one of the other tenants, she overheard me because I was so loud, and I was trying to help the officers out, and I'm not sure if she was a nurse or not, but that was what was on her vehicle. That says that she's an RN nurse. And so she opened up her door, and she, was curious of what was all this noise in the hallway, and here she seen me with the officers downstairs. And so they did. They got me upstairs, and they helped me to, and then when they came up here, my apartment's really, it's a lot different than what it was before, but man, here I had mannequin heads. I am looking at a couple, well, one, actually, there's one that I made that has mud from plaster on that you do on the walls. I actually took a mannequin head and made him into a police officer. So I have some mannequin heads that are police officers. So, and I had a whole different setup and a bunch of alien stuff in that space over here where you can't see. And everything was so different. I had aliens and UFOs and a whole bunch of mannequin heads and artwork. And, this is not your everyday apartment to walk into or house. So the police officers are just sitting, they wanted me to get my clothes ready because they were going to take me to the hospital. So the whole time I'm getting my, clothes ready because I was actually, I don't know what I was wearing. I might have been wearing jammies at the time. So I left them, and they were just checking out everything in my apartment, like, wow, like this. And, it was a trip, I knew what they were doing, I can hear them, and when I came out, they were just, like, spacing out at the walls and at all my stuff in my apartment. And, but it was so funny when we were downstairs. I was in such a love. The one officer was trying to be very dominant over me and trying to control me, and I didn't let it happen. And I was like, and I had so much love. I didn't they've probably never ever seen anybody respond the way I did. I was like, I didn't respond in a negative, horrible way. I was like, oh, it was just like I was so filled with so much love. Where normally if it was somebody else that was going through this, they might respond in a really negative way and they might have tried to attack the officers, where I was like, I just loved them so much. And the one officer that was in the middle when we were downstairs, I really believed he had a family. I can sense it. I felt like he was a family man and he had kids. Like a couple of them. I felt that so strong. And I was going to look him right in the eye and just say, are you married and do you have kids? Because I really sensed it really strong off of him. I didn't sense it from the two other officers. That's how really weird this is when you're going through a spiritual awakening. And anyway, that is, they did get me ready, and they did bring me downstairs and brought me to the police car. And they brought me to the hospital. But before they brought me, my landlord was outside because it was a snowy day. And he didn't know, he was wondering what was wrong with me. He's like, hey, are you okay? And I didn't say anything because I was in a zone of my own and, like in the love frequency. But really, I just, ended up going in the hospital for, I don't remember how many days or weeks, because sometimes they will bring you in there and they will, up to 15 days, I believe, by law in my area, that they can actually hold you in. And then after that, you have to prove if you're able to get out of the hospital. So you have to do the forms. If you don't, they can lock you in there longer. And that's why it's so important to know those things when you ever, if you ever find yourself in the hospital in that situation, you definitely want to find out, how do I, sign myself back out of here, and I willingly brought myself in there. It's not like they actually signed me in. I'm the one that called 911. And so anyway, that was a short, very simple, I was in the love frequency on this spiritual awakening. And like I said, I do want to have the next one. It will be longer though. That one was a lot to that one. So anyway, I do love you, and this one wasn't as exciting as my very first one, and my last one that I had last year around, it's coming up near the time. I had one last year on August 16th, and I just got the police report the other day, and I was like, wow, the officer had all that information. Oh, wow, not even my name spelled right. That's pretty, had it spelled with a C instead of a K, so they don't like doing and I'm not here to bang up police officers, like I said in the other videos, that they're no better than any of us, and we're no better than they are. They're human, and they have flaws like I do. But they do not like doing police reports. All the writing. I've heard that over and over and over again. So the police report was absolutely wrong. There's a lot of errors in that police report. I just was like, oh wow, what am I gonna, there's nothing I can do about that. So anyway, I love them anyway. I really do. So anyway, you can give this video a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend, family, your dog, your cat. Um, you know, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can, whoopsie, ring the notification bell. You can leave a message down below. And you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I do love all of you, and I am really thinking about doing the next one right after this. So anyway, this is Starlight. Love and light. Peace.